Well, was the 2300 Arena paying the price? That was the question on behalf of
very good.
IATSE, local number 8. And we are going to defer to some great reporting today from our own Brandon Thurston and Jack Wannon, who not only covered the story, but also got some firsthand remarks from both the president of the 2300 Arena and from AEW itself. So I'm going to read from their story. A local chapter of the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, IATSE, union in Philadelphia is protesting outside the 2300 Arena, which is scheduled to begin its residency this evening. IATSE Local 8 had written on their Facebook group, "It has come to our attention that the wages, benefits, and working conditions may be below the prevailing area standard negotiated by Local 8 in this industry." It goes on to state like the rates that they're specifically talking about stagehands. So this is a case, this is not about wrestlers. This is not even about AEW employees or production members. It's typically when you go to a venue, sometimes like you will have stagehands, and a lot of times they will be union workers. 2300 Arena is not a union venue, and therefore there were going to be non-union workers fulfilling those roles as stagehands, and that's what this IATSE local number 8 was taking issue with. Now, Brandon and Jack contacted Roger Artigiani, the CEO of the 2300 Arena, and he told our site, "Our workers are being paid the fair wage that they claim is not being paid." He did not say whether stagehand pay at the 2300 Arena meets the standards that IATSE stated on their Facebook page. AEW sent a statement to us that, quote, "All Elite Wrestling has paid and will continue to pay the prevailing wages to all locals used as part of our residency at the venue and has maintained a great relationship with IATSE Local 8 for previous events held at other venues in Philadelphia. Any current demonstrations being held are between 2300 Arena and IATSE Local number 8. So there's some more to this story, but there was also a spokesperson with IATSE that contacted Brandon and Jack and mentioned that the picketing began on Tuesday, and they're planning to continue this throughout the residency as well. And AEW is going to be running events until September the 11th with 7 shows over that course of time. IATSE's national team also tells Post Wrestling that Local 8 is prepared for a one-off collective bargaining agreement for this week's events, which I would not be holding my breath to expect a 1-week collective bargaining agreement to be struck. A few things I will take from this. A lot of people pointing out the fact that this has been a building that has been used for wrestling like forever. And it is also one that in the recent future, WWE has run for NXT, that TNA has run. But this was a case where AEW was going to be staging multiple events over all of these nights. And I guess they saw this as an event that they were going to try and make as much noise about this issue that they have with the 2300 Arena. Now, it's not incorrect there that this is ultimately a 2300 Arena issue. AEW cannot override this. AEW, all they could do would be to withdraw from running this event. That's all the power that they would have in this case. And to that, I would state that if I was the IATSE Local 8 here, these events were first announced back in May. And to me, and I went back on their Facebook group to see, like, was there any issue raised at the time or since then? And I didn't see anything before this week. And to me, the time to do this would have been back in May when these shows were announced, when maybe something really could have been done, if at all. But the week of the show, AEW is not going to be pulling out over this. I'm sure this is local publicity that I'm sure AEW does not want, especially if they're looking at, several of the later shows and any kind of walk up and the idea that, these protests are occurring. It's not a good look for AEW to be attached to, but I don't really know what your answer would be for AEW in this stance. And you have 2300 Arena that are contradicting this local number 8, and they're stating we are paying the wages that like they are mistaken. Like we are paying the wages that they would be that would be commensurate with the union workers if we had chosen to use them. So I mean, you also had that discrepancy of the two sides that are not even agreeing on necessarily what is being paid.
Okay, and in this report by Jack and Brandon, they also state that more details would be shared after Wednesday. So Artigiani didn't say whether stagehand pay at the 2300 arena meets the standard set by IATSE, but added that he has more details to share after Wednesday. So maybe as soon as today, we will find out a bit more information about that, whether or not that there's proof there. But as far as like IATSE goes and why they decided to wait till now, I mean, how much of this do you think is just simply wanting to catch publicity from a wrestling audience attached to a big company?
I mean, that's an absolute element of it. And I'm not even stating that as like some kind of like, that is ultimately what you kind of have to do in these situations, that you do need to find where are pressure points where we could actually make some gain that attention and hopefully make some meaningful headway. But the idea here of protesting AEW is just, I mean, you're essentially just shaming AEW for running this venue is kind of what they are.
Or you're attaching yourself to a wrestling news cycle, you know, a company that receives a lot of publicity through a section of the audience during a sustained period with this local residency. Could that not just be the play?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're planning to picket all of these events, and I mean, we'll see if there's any headway made from it. But like, I am certain that, you know, AEW does not want to have this publicity like locally in Philadelphia, because, you know, if you're just doing, say you're with the local paper and you're covering the first night of this residency and just doing an overall AEW story, it's kind of hard not to include this in that story. Is, you know, you have all these protesters outside with, and I learned that this is their, I don't want to say mascot, but this is Scabby. This is their, I guess,
their giant inflatable rat.
They have an actual real inflatable rat that they bring to some of these events that is called Scabby.
Scabby. Okay. Well, I mean, listen, anything for publicity, right? You know, something attached to a photo that somebody might put up on Instagram is just a way for them to get their message out. So, I mean, I really just think of this as less about, again, AEW, but more so using AEW to spread whatever message they're trying to spread.
We've got so much going on at the Post Wrestling Cafe. $6 a month gets you access to the full Post Wrestling experience. The newest Rewind Away will be going back to 2001 as we will review King of the Ring, featuring Edge winning the crown and Kurt Angle taking on Shane McMahon in a very well-remembered street fight. Plus, it's all of our reviews of the WWE Unreal series on Netflix, XL editions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown, and so much more. All of it can be yours at postwrestlingcafe.com.